I was coming back from work as dawn was breaking, exhausted beyond words, with bitterness in my heart, soaked in sweat after a long and tiring shift. Then I collapsed onto the bed where just a few hours before my friend had been sleeping, with my wife, and no one said a word. Not her, not him. My name is Max. I'm 36 years old. I work as a night security guard at a wholesale warehouse. Shifts from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., sometimes even 12 hours straight. It's tough, but the pay is steady. And with our mortgage, that was the most important thing. My wife, Lisa, is 33 years old, works as a receptionist at a children's clinic. Quiet, a homebody, always cooked amazing meals, took care of our dog, Jack, kept the house cozy. Not fiery passion, but warmth, reliability, safety. We lived simply. Friday night burgers, TV in the kitchen, her parents' cabin. And I thought, this is it. Happiness. Not showy. Not like in the movies. Real. That was until the day Chris called. A childhood friend. We grew up on the same street, played football, drank our first beer behind the garages. Hey Max, remember how you once said I could count on you if things got tough? Of course, what's up? I'm in trouble? Lost my job? My wife kicked me out? Nowhere to go. Can I crash at your place? Just a couple of weeks? I didn't even hesitate. Come on over, we'll figure something out. Lisa didn't say much when I told her, just shrugged. Well, if you have to, I hope he doesn't stay long. Chris showed up the next day. 2 plastic bags and a worn-out backpack. An old cap. A ripped jacket. He looked exhausted, but his eyes still sparkled. Hey buddy, he grinned, hugging me like we hadn't seen each other in 10 years. Lisa was polite. Not warm, not cold, just neutral. Hello, the keys are on the shelf. Towels in the closet. I promise I won't mess up your cozy little nest, was the reply to the offer of hospitality. I put him up in the guest room, which also served as my home office. It was a small but functional space. A small couch, a desk, a window overlooking the yard. Everything he needed for a temporary stay. He nodded, assessing the offered space. Way better than where I've been, man, he said gratefully. The first week went surprisingly smoothly. I stuck to my usual schedule. 2 night shifts, then a day off. This routine allowed me to maintain my normal rhythm of life. During the day, Chris searched for a job online, and in the evenings we watched football, discussed school, and drank beer. Sometimes our conversations went on late into the night. Lisa smiled, served us food, remaining calm as always. Her calmness was contagious. But then, strange things started happening, gradually piling up like a snowball. She started cooking much more than usual. Her culinary creations became increasingly diverse. Not just pasta, but casseroles, fish, salads. Her dishes became more and more refined and complex. Throwing a party? I joked, trying to ease the tension. Chris is a guest, she replied, not looking up. Her response sounded somewhat detached. And then, she started doing his laundry. This fact puzzled me. I noticed it when I saw his underwear hanging on the balcony next to mine. This sight made me wary. Is this yours too? I asked, pointing to the underwear. Oh, I just threw everything in together to save time, she replied casually. Lisa never mixed laundry. She didn't even wash my socks with my shirts together. Her neatness had always been striking. At first, I brushed it off, blaming it on fatigue and being busy. But then more and more oddities appeared. The pillow on my side of the bed smelled somehow different. Not like me. This smell was foreign to me. One day, I opened the closet and found Chris's shirt, neatly ironed and folded on top of mine. This was too much. And one morning, I was in the kitchen when Jack came in. He sniffed me and growled. His reaction was completely unexpected. He had never done that before. Then he ran into the room, saw Chris, and wagged his tail. His behavior changed abruptly. I started losing control of myself. Snapping. My irritation grew with each passing day. Lisa noticed it, but only said, "You've been so uptight lately. Tired?" she asked with concern in her voice. "Maybe," I replied evasively. I was tired, but not just from work. I began to feel like a stranger in my own home. This feeling was unbearable. That night, As I was getting ready for my shift, Lisa said, "I'll probably stay up late. I'm going to watch a movie with Chris." Her words sounded like a challenge. "Sure," I mumbled. At work, I couldn't concentrate. My thoughts were far from work. In my head, like annoying flies, swarmed images that I wanted to brush aside like pesky gnats. Memories, like shards of a broken mirror, wounded my consciousness. Chris, dressed in my shirt, as if appropriating a part of me. Lisa, dressed in a silk robe, as if in a mantle of mystery. Their laughter sounding like a false note in the symphony of my life. Their sudden silence like a conspiracy woven in silence. Whispers, like a snake's hiss, poisoned my soul. My bed becoming a battlefield for my dignity. My pillow absorbing tears of doubt and suspicion. It was then, in the depths of despair, that I made a decision, as if throwing an anchor of hope into the raging sea of uncertainty. I will install a recording device in the bedroom, as if opening a Pandora's box full of secrets and revelations. A camera, like an all-seeing eye, to capture the elusive moments of truth, something that will allow me to see the truth as it is, without embellishment or illusions. I needed the truth like air to breathe fully, because living in doubt is like a slow poison gradually destroying me from within. I didn't want to believe the worst, like a child refusing to believe in the existence of a monster under the bed. But when you hear your wife's moans like a death knell spreading through your heart, and it's not you next to her, but your friend, like a traitor stabbing you in the back, then something inside dies, like a light that cannot be lit again. Something that will not return, like lost innocence. It took several days, as if I was preparing to climb an impregnable peak. I constantly doubted, like a pendulum swinging between hope and despair. "Maybe I'm just paranoid," whispered an inner voice, trying to lull my vigilance. "Maybe I'm just jealous," echoed another, throwing wood on the fire of doubt. But one evening, when I came home, Lisa greeted me in a pink silk robe, short and form-fitting, like a second skin. I had never seen it before, as if it had appeared out of nowhere. "Bought it online," she said casually, as if it was the most ordinary thing. "I just wanted to feel beautiful at home." I nodded, trying not to betray my feelings, but everything inside contracted, like a spring ready to shoot at any moment. While she was taking a shower, I peeked into the bedroom, like a thief creeping in the night. My pillow had been fluffed differently, as if someone else's hand had touched it. His mug was on the nightstand, like a brazen mark left on my territory. Inside, there was still a brown coffee ring, like a seal of infidelity placed on my life. That same day, while she was not at home, I went to the electronics store, as if led by an invisible hand. I bought a mini camera disguised as an alarm clock, like a Trojan horse designed to reveal the truth. That night, before going to work, I installed it on the shelf opposite the bed, as if arranging a chess piece in a decisive game. I started recording, as if launching a mechanism of retribution. I hid the charger behind the curtain, as if covering up the tracks of a crime. My heart was pounding, like a bird beating in a cage. I felt like a traitor, like a spy working against my own country. But even more, I felt betrayed, like a victim caught in a web of lies. At work, I couldn't concentrate, as if I had lost my compass in a boundless ocean. One thought kept spinning in my head like a broken record. What will I see in the morning when I watch the recording? Then another. And what if there's nothing there? What if I'm just broken? What if my suspicions are unfounded? But deep down, I knew, as if I sensed an impending storm. I knew, as a traveler knows, that an impassable forest awaits him ahead. I just didn't want to face it head on, like an ostrich hiding its head in the sand. Morning came, like a sentence awaiting its hour. Jack greeted me calmly, as if suspecting nothing. Lisa was getting ready for work, as if nothing had happened. "Hi," she said. "Want some coffee?" "No, I'll make it myself," I replied, trying to hide the tremor in my voice. She kissed me on the cheek, like an executioner kissing a condemned man, and I shuddered, as if from an electric shock. Not from love, but from disgust. That's what I felt. I waited for her to leave, and as soon as the door closed behind her, I was overcome with a strange premonition. I locked myself in the bedroom, as if preparing for something inevitable. I took out the flash drive from the camera, the one I had installed a few days ago, succumbing to a sudden impulse. I connected it to the laptop, feeling my hands tremble treacherously. The video started, and reality began to distort. The room, silence, oppressive, like a body of water. The dim light created an atmosphere of mystery. An hour passed. The minutes stretched out agonizingly, turning into hours. Finally, a second hour passed, filled with agonizing anticipation. Midnight. The door opened quietly, as if afraid to break the ominous silence. Chris. He was wearing only sweatpants, his torso bare. He walked in as if he were at home. A minute later, Lisa appeared in the room. In that robe I gave her for our anniversary. She giggled, like a schoolgirl caught being naughty. He said something, but there was no sound on the recording. The microphone was betrayingly silent. She threw off her robe, remaining only in her underwear. He came closer, and their lips met in a long, deep kiss. Then they lay down on the bed. On my side, on my pillow, I froze as if turned into an ice statue. I stopped blinking, breathing, as if afraid to scare away this nightmare. They lay together, hugging, like two loving doves. He caressed her, gently touching her skin. She kissed his chest, as if worshipping an idol. In my bed, while I was guarding some warehouse for peanuts, like the last fool. An hour later, she got up, picked up her phone, read something, her face lit up with a mysterious smile, said something to him, her voice sounded muffled. He laughed, as if he had heard a good joke, and went to the shower. She put her robe back on, went out into the kitchen. Her movements were smooth and graceful. 15 minutes later, the front door opened. I came home from work, tired but satisfied. On the screen, me, smiling, suspecting nothing, like a blind kitten. She handed me a plate of dinner, smiled, her eyes shining with a false light. Chris came out of the kitchen with a mug of tea. "So, buddy, how was your shift?" he asked, patting me on the shoulder. I smiled back, at both of them, like an idiot, like a puppet, twitching on strings. I stopped the video, closed the laptop as if slamming the lid of a coffin, sat down on the bed, feeling the world around me collapse. And for the first time in many years, I cried. Not from rage, not from a broken heart, but from how low I had allowed myself to fall, how I had betrayed myself. I believed. I sheltered. I trusted like a naive child. I sat like that for probably an hour, just staring at the wall as if trying to find answers there. Then I got up, went out onto the balcony as if looking for fresh air, lit a cigarette, even though I had quit smoking 2 years ago, but I didn't care anymore. And I made myself a promise. Tonight, it will all be over. I will put an end to it. I went to work for them, so that there would be light in the house, bread on the table, a roof over our heads. But now it all seemed pointless. While I was working tirelessly to keep our family afloat, they were doing what could kill it, indulging in sweet moans right into my pillow. I realized that I couldn't delay any longer. If I kept silent for even one more night, I would turn into what I had vowed never to be. A person who is walked all over, who is shamelessly used. As you will soon understand, this was unacceptable. I didn't want a scandal, but I couldn't live in silence any longer. So I decided to end it all, quietly, coldly, and cleanly, without unnecessary drama, just to close this chapter. That evening, before my shift, I performed my usual ritual, got dressed, put on my uniform, and kissed Lisa on the cheek. "Good luck," she said. "Thanks," I replied. "I'll be back late. Don't wait up." I went out the door, walked 2 blocks, and waited for 40 agonizing minutes. Then I came back. I quietly opened the door with my key. Jack didn't bark. He recognized me. There was pitch black darkness in the house, except for the bedroom, where the dim light of a nightlight flickered. Barefoot, I crept to the door and froze in hesitation. From inside came Lisa's voice. She was laughing. Chris replied something, his words sounding muffled and lazy. Then followed some movement and that sound. The sound I had already heard on the recording. The sound of betrayal piercing me through and through. I flung the door open. They were in bed. She was in his t-shirt, he was in my shorts. Both jumped, as if from a bomb blast. "Max," she exclaimed in fright. "Who were you expecting to see?" I retorted. Lisa frantically pulled the blanket over herself, and Chris froze in a semi-sitting position. "It's not what you think," she blurted out. I pulled the flash drive out of my pocket. "Then watch. Watch. Together." I threw it at her feet. "It's all here, your nights, my bed, my dishes, my face when I came home, suspecting nothing." Chris looked down at the floor. Lisa was sobbing. "Max, forgive me." "Forgive?" I sneered bitterly. This was not just betrayal. It was betrayal of myself, spitting on everything that had been built together. Chris stepped forward, but was stopped. "Buddy, he began, but was interrupted as if he had uttered a blasphemy. "You're not my buddy anymore." Pointing to the door, I uttered the words that changed our lives forever. "By tomorrow, both of you should be gone. Leave the keys in Jack's bowl." Then I went to the kitchen, where, as if in a trance, I lit a cigarette. But not because I needed nicotine, but because I was burning inside, as if I myself had turned to ashes. 30 long minutes later, Chris left the house. He had a bag in his hand, a jacket on his shoulders. He left silently, like a shadow. I didn't look after him, didn't say goodbye. I just sat there, lost in my thoughts. Lisa was crying in the bedroom, and her sobs echoed in the silence of the house. Then she fell silent. Eventually she came out of the room. "I'll leave in the morning," she whispered, as if afraid to break the fragile silence. I nodded in response, without saying a word. The next morning, I was awakened by silence. No one was there. Only a note lying on the table, like a tombstone of our relationship. "I was a fool. I didn't deserve you. Forgive me if you can. L." I picked up this scrap of paper as if it were made of poison. I tore it in half, as if tearing my past life, and threw it in the trash can, as if getting rid of a dirty secret. 3 months have passed. I quit my job at the warehouse. No more night shifts that sucked the life out of me. I got a job as a delivery driver. Calm, simple work. No people, no masks. I never saw Lisa again, or Chris. And to be honest, I don't want to. Sometimes I dream that I come home and they're still there, like a nightmare that refuses to let go. I wake up in a cold sweat, as if I've been to hell. But Jack is always there, my faithful dog. My peace is here. My life, without them, is here. You know what hurt the most? Not the betrayal itself, but how commonplace they made it. In my house, on my sheets, with my dog sleeping nearby, and how shamelessly they smiled at me the next morning. It's not just betrayal, it's mockery. Now, I live alone. And for the first time in many years, I sleep peacefully, like a baby. Because I no longer open my door to people who come not for you, but for convenience. I still believe in honesty, but only with my eyes wide open, ready for anything. And what if one day you feel something is wrong, when an elusive sense of anxiety creeps into your soul? Don't wait for proof, as if postponing a sentence. Believe yourself. Trust your feelings, for they are a compass in the raging sea of life. As you will learn further, intuition often whispers the truth hidden beneath a veil of deception. After all, betrayal does not begin with the first lie spoken aloud, but with your silent consent to deception, from the very moment you allow doubts to drown out the voice of intuition. However, this is only the beginning, because each ignored warning is a tiny crack in the armor of your soul, making it vulnerable to future blows. You won't believe what happens next if you continue to ignore these signals.